Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Koalition. I am the entertainment editor, Dana Abercrombie, and I am joined by Mr. Danny Rodriguez, DeVito, Martinez.
Martinez.
There you go. I knew it was one of them Spanish names. So,
just
yeah, and
just
he
go
is
down the list of Spanish names.
going down the list. Hernandez, Guadalupe. So it is wonderful that you're here, Mr. Guadalupe. Um, we are here to talk about the full spoiler review of Deadpool and Wolverine. If you have not seen it, if you don't want to know who the cameos are, if you don't want to know anything about it, watch this later and then come back. But we are going to talk about the full spoilers and everything else of its wonderfulness or maybe boo-ness about the movie. So I'm going to start off with Mr. Martinez. What were your immediate reactions to this movie?
Pure happiness and fun. Just
Mm,
completely nerding out and excited.
I completely understand. That kind of was my experience too. And then I started to talk more about it and think about it. And hmm, it was a really good, fun, and entertaining film, but I felt that it had some flaws. And we'll kind of just dive into that, the movie itself. So this, takes place directly after Deadpool 2, but because of the whole time um, at the end when he's able to go to different universes, he's able to bring back the love of his life. And then therefore, what we don't see off screen, which I wish we could have seen on screen because more emotional weight, was him and Vanessa broke up. That was done off screen. And this took place in 2008. 2008, right after, so like the Avengers itself kind of were doing different things. So no one was there at the compound. And what happened is one of the side conversations that we didn't get to see was the fact that him and Vanessa had the conversation where even though she was brought back and you thought the relationship was great and wonderful and dandy, there was a lot of trauma I felt that she experienced from technically, being murdered and
Oh, you cut off.
you have to, huh?
You cut off. You
I
said
cut
and.
off.
Yeah, cut off for a second. You missed the whole sentence.
Oh,
You said about her
so
being murdered and then
oh, so then about her being murdered, I think a lot of emotional beats we didn't get to see, but they were going through something as a couple, and it really felt that Deadpool was in a state of kind of depression, and it wasn't a sense of, which is what I didn't understand. It wasn't a sense of him wanting to belong. It was him having to prove to Vanessa that he's a hero and that he belongs somewhere, which is how he ends up trying to be recruited by Happy. So, how did you feel about like the theme at all? Because a lot of things that we didn't even get to see, it was off screen.
uh it was kind of lazy, quick. It's almost like the main points of the movie weren't exactly important for the movie. It was done very quickly and just kind of in passing to kind of just be like, oh, this was what give Deadpool motivation. Okay, now have fun, and that's pretty much it.
I understand. Yeah, I kind of felt that way too. It was kind of felt like it was penciled in. Here's a reason it was penciling in, but we don't really focus on it. Um, but one of the things that that is basically the plot and the theme of it, and why he so wants to belong to the Avengers, and instead he is turned away by Happy, which there's a very hilarious beat for about him being the chauffeur, so like how he became basically number two in command. But you could see like he really still loves Iron Man is alive, obviously, and you could see all the Iron Man memorabilia, which I really loved. I thought we could have got a little bit more of the Avengers, but it is his compound, the Avengers compound, which is owned by Tony Stark, and Happy is connected directly to Iron Man. So I like that perfectly fine. It was really nice to see a Happy Hogan cameo. I did not expect that at all. Of like all of the Avengers, because we knew that Avengers was somewhat involved-ish, but we didn't know the depths of it. But I was really happy to see Hogan alive and healthy and happy. So that was the thing. But one of the big things, obviously, it switches back and forth, was this amazing opening, which he is being chased by the TVA. We don't know what is going on yet, but he's being chased by the TVA, and he's doing the bye 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 NSYNC dance while he does it. And there is so much blood and so much gorgeous violence. How did you feel about that scene?
That definitely set the tone for the rest of the movie. Me and my wife watching it, and my wife, she loves like action movies and stuff, but she's not like the crazy geek fan of Marvel. She'll enjoy the stuff, but she won't like appreciate the little things. And she was dying of laughter throughout the whole thing. For those who, I mean, obviously this is already a spoiler cast, so he's pretty much using the dead corpse of the old Logan movie to beat them all up. and he uses them out of nunchucks, he uses his claws, he just chops them all up, and it's just a lot of fun. And then in between the killings, he's literally doing the dancing that NSYNC does for the song, and it's just it fits so perfect, and it was hilarious.
Right, and within that, people may or may not know, you have to go back and rewatch everything. I feel one of it does two things. It's the callback to X2 for when everybody was in whose car was it? Everybody was in Scott's car, and NSYNC was playing, and Wolverine was in there, just miserable in that car. And then also the overall theme of saying goodbye to Fox Studios, which kind of is the overall theme. That felt more thematic. That felt more of the theme than the plot of the movie about all these characters who were thrown away and lonely. So I liked how they did that. Yeah, I like how they did that. It was very funny. It was well choreographed, and when it's up against that nice crisp white snow and that red blood, it stood out even more for me. And it was like, oh, it felt automatically. I'm like, this is a really weird MC. Is this Marvel? I didn't expect this from Marvel. It made me excited because I thought it was done very well, but also very over the top, and they somehow was able to balance it. So I really like that. So the whole reason as to why he's being chased by the TVA is because they caught up to his antics. Remember when he was in the other movie and he jumped around in different timelines and he killed Ryan Reynolds before he could star in Green Lantern. He went and killed the merc with the mouth that they didn't allow him to speak.
Yeah, stupid Deadpool.
Was it Origin? Stupid Deadpool.
I think it was like X-24 or something stupid like that.
Something stupid like that. And so all the different changes that he made at the end of that movie, the TVA was like, look, you're doing too much. We have to take you in. And so that's what we thought was going to happen, but actually was for a much bigger purpose. The bigger purpose is we're introduced to Paradox, who is an employee of the TVA, as we assume so, and he is basically explaining that the world, because of, they did a good job kind of explaining it, even though with multiple things going on at once. You didn't think so?
No, I don't. I mean, again, is that laziness of just like your Paradox goes up to Deadpool and he explains to Deadpool, oh, you're a super important person. You must save the universe, this and this and that, because you're special and the powers that be has told me to summon you. And it's just a lot of just a lot of exposition without anything to back it up. You don't know who these powers that be was. Like, you don't know who Paradox was talking to, if he even was talking to anybody. Why is Deadpool the chosen one compared to the other Deadpools at that? Because we find out later in the movie we got that whole Deadpool core. So like, why is this Deadpool more special than the rest? And it's all just for him to be introduced into everything. That's all it was. So I didn't get it whatsoever.
What? Okay. Well, then for me, it was the thing was, even though I didn't feel that it was well fleshed out, the anchor baby situation, the anchor hero, being that if there's an anchor hero in that world who dies, that timeline then must die. Why? It's never explained, but that's what they was going for. And since Wolverine died and Wolverine was in the same universe as Deadpool, that timeline has to die. And all of its people, all of his friends, and not him because he's able to time travel through the TVA, so he'll be fine. They didn't do a really great job as to explaining why that happens. It seemed like something that was brand new that was thrown in. Because how do you view something as an anchor hero? Who is an anchor hero? Is it like, for example, if the Hulk dies, are the Avengers in that world in trouble because he's died as opposed to, say, Iron Man?
But here's where they wrote themselves into a corner with that too, because it was already revealed and lots of spoilers throughout the entire process of filming this movie that there were going to be anchor characters that were supposed to be like important to their particular universe, and if they're gone, that universe will be destroyed. What the movie tells you now that I actually watch it, it's just like it makes no sense that they even introduced this concept, because Logan dies in the Fox universe, but then Paradox says, "Oh, don't worry about it. It'll take a couple thousand years." So it's just like, okay, so it really doesn't matter if an anchor dies because it'll take 1,000 years anyways, and everybody would be long dead and gone, or the people that we know long dead and gone. So it's just kind of like it would have been more of a high stakes thing. It's just like, oh, you have 30 days and then the universe is destroyed, or like a week or something like that. But like he was like, oh yeah, don't worry about it. It takes thousands of years. But he just wanted to speed up the process using that machine that he did.
And what was interesting about Paradox is the fact that we know that he wanted to be the leader, and his whole goal was to bring things back to what they used to be in the TVA, right? When you just started pruning people and ending timelines and calling it a day. And in the end of Loki, they did establish that they do things differently now. But I just kind of wish we would have had a better connection as to him wanting to go back to what it was originally and why, what was at stake for him to speed up the process. Because if he was the big bad villain of it all, I would have appreciated that. Because I felt that he had a stronger villainous connection than, say, Cassandra.
Yeah.
And we'll get into Cassandra. She had a problem too, I felt. So I really wish that part was stronger. But the fact that they needed to bring back, Deadpool thought that he needed to bring back another Wolverine to replace the dead Wolverine. Logically, kind of, maybe because I think like Wolverine. I like Wolverine. Like Wolverine. I thought that it kind of made sense. It's just, here's another one. And he explains that it doesn't work that way. But within that, it didn't seem like there was a sense from Paradox's part, a sense to hurry up and prune the world. Because he explained, he went through all of the different Wolverines that he thought he could find. We got a lovely cameo from Henry Cavill, which was really great. And we also got a knock at DC, because he shaded DC. Oh, we'll treat you better than the other guys.
Yeah.
Across the street. And we all knew who it was. And we all knew what he went through. So that was great. And that was funny. We got some old man Logan in there. We got some other Logans.
Days of Future Past. We got a height accurate comic book Wolverine.
That was really funny. And we got the one, the poker Wolverine.
Oh, Patch. Yeah, Patch. Mr. Patcher.
Patch.
Yeah.
I thought that was great. I liked all of the different Wolverines. I kind of wanted to live in their world a little bit. I thought they were all great. And then of course we got Hulk. Kind of, we don't see him, but we see him through the adamantium blade. So I thought that was really great, and we got to hear him go. Arr. So I love that. I thought for a second, oh no, we're gonna get him, but no, that was really great as well. But we get all of these different ones, and he finally is able to wrestle up what's considered the worst one. And the worst Wolverine was the one that let his entire team down, and they all died. Here's what I think they screwed up. I was expecting something like climactic with how they died. I was expecting something major. And all we got, and it still, for me, doesn't make any sense, was he was drunk at the bar.
That's it.
Humans came and killed the X-Men. They were humans, not what do you call them? I can't pronounce it.
Yeah, Sentinels.
It wasn't Sentinels.
Yeah.
These were basic red-blooded humans, like you and I. And they died. So I'm supposed to believe Storm, Charles, whomever, the rest of the team that they didn't name, but I'm supposed to believe Charles, who is the strongest, X-Men out there, died by the hands of some humans. When we just watched him go through this whole battle with Scarlet Witch.
Again, it's just more lazy writing. It's just lazy writing with that.
That bothered me.
I got something to say about that because I was thinking the same thing. I was thinking like this was going to be a huge reveal because you know how like throughout the MCU they have pulled a little bit of things here and there from the comic books. The movie Logan is loosely based off of a comic called Old Man Logan. One of my favorite Wolverine comics of all time. Still have my issues. And in this comic series, Wolverine is a pacifist, and he's kind of like traversing through the countryside with Hawkeye, who's now blind. But Hawkeye kind of hired him. He's like, "Hey, I need a bodyguard or something because we're gonna travel and deliver this package over." And then they go on an adventure, whatever. But Wolverine tells him, "I am a pacifist. I will never pop these claws anymore. I will never hurt anyone ever again." And Hawkeye, throughout the whole series, is just like, "What happened to you? Why are you like this? What happened?" He's just like, "I don't want to talk about it." And this twist to this comic book is what I was expecting for this movie. They should have pulled this out of the freaking comic book because it would have been a perfect, like, just heart drop. And what happened was the whole United States is overrun by villains. And when the day of the villains came and started this war and kind of pretty much just killed off most of the heroes, Mysterio, he shows up. Well, sorry, not even. Wolverine is chilling in the X Mansion, and he gets attacked by a bunch of supervillains. Magneto, you see Sabretooth, you see Mysterio, you see Lizard, you see all these, just mix and match of all these different Marvel villains, and he's killing them all. He's just massacring all of them. And then Mysterio shows up and he says, "Hey, we've never met before, but I'm Mysterio, the master of illusion," or whatever. It's nice to finally meet you, Wolverine. By the way, thanks for all your help with what you've done for me. And he kind of just reveals that the people that he was actually killing weren't villains, but it was the entire X-Men. So Wolverine is a pacifist, and he refuses to do anything because he's the one who literally killed the entire X-Men, and he feels guilty about it. He even tried to kill himself a couple times in the comics after it all happened. And it's just, that made more sense than just, "Oh, I wasn't there, so I'm sorry."
I feel like we got that theme somewhere in somebody else's movie where someone was tricked into killing their own. I just cannot remember at this moment. And then they went into a guilt thing.
I have no idea.
We kind of seen that. But the thing is, I would have appreciated and loved that even more, because then that brings up the guilt factor as opposed to, "I was drunk at the bar." And you telling me that Storm? I hate myself because I was drunk. But the thing is just that, like, I can understand you're drunk at the bar, and then, like, I don't know, some brilliant and crazy Galactus came and just wiped out everyone.
Or even some
Sentinels
like, or something.
Yeah, they did a tag team or something. And we had a whole, Wolverine in the background. Nothing. It was just told to us, which made it even more,
which is also insulting.
power.
You make that good point too. It's also insulting to the rest of the X-Men team for them to die by the hands of some randoms. So you're saying that they need Wolverine, like Wolverine's the only one that could protect them. He's the only one that could back them up, while everybody else is just weak and pathetic. Like, no.
Unless, see, I couldn't even figure, because the thing that you said about the comic would have been much better, because if you remember, it was kind of a callback to Logan. Because remember how Charles died was through the fake Logan number 2.
Oh yeah.
So even that death, I can kind of understand, and it's sad. But this one is just terrible. Yeah. So he died because of, he was drunk and some humans overpowered Storm and Charles Xavier and the rest of them. So the entire, that world is just let down and they can't stand him. But they let him back into the bar for some reason, but they can't stand him. And so Deadpool comes to him and he's like, I need you. And he's like, screw you. And I love the banter between the two. And I do give Hugh Jackman this. Even though the storyline was poopy pants and his depression was silly, he played it exceptionally well. Well, I genuinely felt the emotional weight that he carried. Then he was just a mess through the whole thing. So I liked that, and I liked the banter between the two. And it's clear, it's easy to see how much Deadpool would annoy you, because he is annoying, and you would just want to kill him. And what does make it great is they can't kill each other, because they kind of can't really die, because they heal. They can die if you take the heads off, but their healing factor makes for this interesting chemistry. So, Paradox is kind of explaining, he's the worst one, which I, again, don't feel like he is the worst one. He has a substance abuse problem. That's it. He was drunk. Put him in some AA, let him grieve, and he'll be fine. But he apparently was the worst one, and everyone keeps, acting like this is a big thing, and all of the X people are dead. But so the Paradox is kind of upset about that, and this is how we get introduced to the Void, because he prunes both of them. And we know, because we watch Loki, no one's dead. They just end up in the Void. And the Void, which I thought was absolutely brilliant, is basically 20th Century Fox, which I could not stop laughing. I thought it was exceptional how they did that. So, what were your thoughts on the fact that they stuck them into the Void with all of these forgotten characters that never got their sequels or movies or anything else? Because we're tricked. Because when we end up in the Void, they're an amazing fight, by the way. I love the fight sequences between Deadpool and Wolverine. We get this amazing fight, and then it's stopped by, I believe it was Toad. It's either Toad or Pyro, because Toad, Pyro, and then Johnny gets involved. But one of the three stops them, and we get those three introductions. And what was your thoughts on one being dumped in the Void and those three again? Well, not even cameos. They had a talking part, a speaking part.
So unfortunately, what's funny is that you would think that I'd be like crazy excited over the whole Void thing being the whole Fox getting dumped in there. The problem with that is that I would say, if I didn't know what was expected already, I would have geeked out. I would have been excited. I would have been like laughing my ass off and just been like, that's perfect. Unfortunately, with the power of the internet, it was already spoiled. We already knew a couple of cameos that had, or I already knew a couple cameos that had already been on there. On top of that, there were like set leaks of the 20th Century Fox, like the rubble, like the whole thing was just like destroyed and it's sitting there buried while Wolverine and Deadpool were fighting. So it's just like, oh, I see where they're going. I'm excited for this. And when I saw it on the big screen afterwards, I was just like, okay, cool. Let's see how deep the rabbit hole goes with like what they do with this. And I mean, it still didn't disappoint. It's just like that emotional, just like that first reaction type feeling. It was just like it wasn't what you probably would have expected. Toad could have done better with him. The Sabretooth fight when he shows up, that could have been better. Like that was such a tease. Everybody's been waiting for a fight between the both of them, and it was, spoilers again, an instant, just 3-second fights. Wolverine just does like that old school samurai type thing where they both slash at each other, running at each other, and Wolverine just chops his head off. And it was like 3 seconds, and that was pretty much it. It was anticlimactic. I was very disappointed with that. But I couldn't stop laughing when they introduced Johnny Storm, expecting to be another variant of Captain America, and I completely forgot he played Johnny Storm, and it was the best introduction because Deadpool was just like, oh my god, it's him, he's gonna say it, Avengers is so flame on. And then he starts flying around everywhere, and I'm just like, oh that's right. So that was well done.
I'm muted. I completely agree with you because I wasn't spoiled because I refused to look at anything. I'm like, I can't. I'll just put down, the pretext of Wolverines fighting Deadpool, but I'm not gonna watch your trailer. I'm not gonna, explain what's going on in the trailer because I wanted to see this movie and not be spoiled. And I was afraid that they was gonna do a situation where they did that with remember Multiverse of Madness when they spoiled Charles.
Yeah.
So I didn't even know X-23 was there. I knew nothing.
Yeah, the internet went nuts on at least on Twitter that I noticed, and TikTok. People were pissed that the final trailer for Deadpool and Wolverine showed X-23, and it was a big deal, and people were like, why would you do that? That's a big reveal.
So Kevin Feige explained it this way. Daphne really wanted to do the red carpet. She was there, which is how I got spoiled. Because I'm like, why are you there? But to be fair, I wasn't fully spoiled because the dude who played, remember Spider-Man? I can't remember, Ned. The actor who plays Ned was there. Mm-hmm. So I was like, wait, is Spider-Man in this movie?
Yeah, it doesn't make any difference. Any celebrity could go down the red carpet. What does it matter if she wanted to go and watch?
Right.
She worked with Hugh Jackman, so why wouldn't she want to support him?
Right. So like I didn't know because I was like, wait, is she in this movie? But then I saw Ned and I was like, wait, is Ned in this movie? Why is he here? And then I saw Al Roker and I was like, but you just only did a car commercial. I'm confused about this whole thing. So I didn't think anything of it. So when I saw her, I was like, oh, I was the only one who didn't know. But that was the reason why she was going to do the red carpet, and they had to explain as to why she's there. But when you said that, no, she has a history with Hugh Jackman. This was like what? Oh God, 5, maybe more than 5 years ago that we had the Logan.
No, definitely.
Yeah, definitely more than that. 10. And it was like, oh look, it's a grown up X-23. You didn't really think anything of it. At least I didn't. And so, they really shouldn't have put her in the trailer, and they could have still had her on the red carpet because it's history, and we as the fans would know the history. But I thought, here's the thing: I love the fact that I thought at least he was gonna say Avengers Assemble, but then he said Flame On, and I was like, oh snap, this is really great. I never thought, because I didn't realize, I'm slow, that this would be an homage to 20th Century Fox, even though the logo was right there. So I was expecting, we're getting the Avengers. I don't know what's going to happen. This is going to be amazing. But we got Johnny Storm. And for me, that was way better than getting an Avenger.
Oh, yeah.
So I appreciate that. So he was so arrogant and so full of himself And Deadpool was right because he really did say those words. So that was amazing. I wanted a longer fight between him and Sabretooth. With Wolverine and Sabretooth, it kind of reminded me of, remember how and I hate to do this again, Multiverse of Madness, where we got all these characters and we're like, yay! And all Wanda did was like, and the dude's head exploded. And then, Richard Reed turned into spaghetti. I was like, that's it? No one? And it was like, overall, maybe a 5-minute sequence at most. And it was just really disappointing.
The thing is like, because you mentioned before, Wolverine and Deadpool, when they're fighting each other, they're good fight sequences between the both of them, but it makes it more funny and it makes it more interesting because they both heal. So they're hurting each other, but they're not really killing each other. They could have done that same thing with Sabretooth because Sabretooth has that same thing. So it's like it's upsetting. You missed the mark with that. Like the Sabretooth and Wolverine thing was a fight that people were waiting for. And I'm pretty sure they knew it was a fight that people were waiting for. And then you just kind of brushed it off.
My only theory that I can have that will logically make any sense for the fight being so quick was they didn't have that really close relationship as the Logan that we know. The Logan and Sabretooth that we know from our X-Men.
You think he just didn't hold back?
But at the same time, Deadpool was hyping it up.
Yeah. Yeah, he even mentioned the comic book. He was just like, oh, it's your brother. And I was like, oh, that's okay. He called him out on it. But I guess that's a good point too, that specific Logan doesn't have an attachment with that specific Sabretooth, so he kind of just ended it quick.
And we kind of got a fight-ish in, was it the original X-Men? I think it was the first X-Men.
That was first X-Men only movie. slightly longer than the one that we got in this movie.
Well, it was like the 2000s. That's almost like the 90s. They were in black suits. Remember that? Because they wanted to look like the Matrix.
Yeah,
Jesus.
That was the thing back then.
That was the thing back then. It was nice seeing Toad. Toad is such a throwaway character. But I guess we know what would happen to him because, he never lived after that lightning with Storm.
You know what happens when toads get hit by lightning?
They go to the void. Boom, boom. So Toad got zapped away. No, he lived, though. That was a good thing. At least they kept Toad alive this time. Although it really would have been funny if Cassandra killed him with a lightning bolt.
Oh, yeah. That would have been good. Yeah.
That would have been really good. But he lived. Johnny Storm was amazing. Sabretooth, I wanted more. I didn't think they would behead him, but okay, good. We're doing. Pyro. It took me so long to realize that was Pyro from the X-Men. He aged so differently that I was like, oh, that's him. Because I remember I was like infatuated with that character and the fact that we had that big scene between Pyro and what was it? Bobby.
Yeah.
Was he Ice Storm? I'm old. Iceman. So it was Bobby and it was him. And remember, they would do that little thing and then the powers would come together and they were trying to kill each other. I wish Bobby was in here. But anyway, that's what we got. I love the fact that we even got him. He lived, right? Yep, he lived. Yes, he lived because he serves another plot that I didn't really understand, but he serves that plot. Then we're finally introduced to Cassandra Nova, inside of the skull of a really giant Ant-Man, which I thought was clever. I really wish that they would have played that up more or explained that. It's like, just here's a giant skull, and we never got a reason as to what happened. Like Deadpool could have just been in the side and narrated what happened.
It would have been nice because Cassandra, when she towards the end of the movie, but she explains that she fought a wizard or magician or something. She was pretty much alluding that she had killed Doctor Strange before. So she's that powerful to fight Doctor Strange. You could have kind of alluded to that earlier and said, I killed this Ant-Man easily while he was a giant or whatever, and that's kind of like the little, and I made a base out of him. Like that's how dangerous this person can potentially be. But they didn't mention it at all except for the quick Paul Rudd joke.
which to me probably doesn't make sense, but I thought the death of Doctor Strange was a callback to, remember was it Infinity? It was Infinity War, when he's going through all of the different calculations and they all die except for one. So I'm wondering, in one of the calculations, unless he would have to travel to a different dimension, obviously, did he meet Cassandra? And that's how he died. I don't know. I could be grasping at straws. But that's where my mind went. But so we get Cassandra, and she is the twin to Charles Xavier. She strangled him, or tried to strangle him in the womb, just like the comic books. And I thought it was very comic accurate how she looked, and also with all the costumes, how everyone looked. Yeah. So she tried to strangle in the womb because of she's a psychopath or just not a good person. She was sent as a baby to live in the void, where I guess she raised herself, because she's very strong and powerful and she knows things. And so that's how she ended up in the void. She loves the void. They all work for her in the void. Or at least that section of the void. Because we know there's different voids. Because Loki. And then later on, we're like in the thing with Deadpools and things. So in that one section of her void, she loves. This is when you slowly start to lose me, plot wise. I'm with it 100%. It was a lot of fun.
They lost you there at that point?
The more you keep explaining things to me, the more I'm like, I'm losing it. It just doesn't make sense. So it's not really clear as to what her goal was, but I ended up doing an interview with the actress, and here's how it was explained to me, and here's why I'm extra mad, because we didn't get this. She is very angry at the fact that when in the movie, we know that, she loves the void. And in fact, she loves the void so much, she wants to destroy other timelines so that the only timeline that exists is the void. That makes no goddamn sense to me. But here is how it was supposed to go. Now, if you listen to her conversations with Wolverine, she and Charles, obviously, she felt abandoned by Charles. She was sent to the void. He wasn't looking for her. He just left her there. She doesn't feel that she explained she's never been loved. She doesn't know what this kind of a relationship is. She's very, very jealous of Wolverine and Charles's relationship because she doesn't have that. It was explained to me that the reason why she was doing this was because she wanted Charles' attention so he would come. That to me was a much better explanation than I want to destroy all the timelines and there's only the void.
But that still doesn't explain anything.
It doesn't explain anything because it's like you're in the what does having more? So even if all the timelines are destroyed, how does that change the void? Because people who die via the timeline of being destroyed don't go to the void.
Exactly.
So it's not like I have more, followers or an army. It's they just don't exist. So I'm confused.
So you're not only not giving enough people to go into the void, but you're also destroying every single potential Charles Xavier. And you're not giving Charles that chance to actually notice you or even know who you are or where you are so he can come and help you or give you that attention that you crave. None of that makes sense.
No, it doesn't. And it didn't seem like, they explained Charles is he knows exactly. If Charles knew that she existed, he would fight, everything to be right there with her to get her out. And it wasn't even like, bring him to me. Maybe if they switched goals and was like, I'll get you out of the void if you can bring him to me, that would have made more sense. As opposed to, I'm destroying all worlds. And then how exactly does that affect Deadpool or Wolverine? Like, Wolverine to me seems like he's okay with the world dying because he got drunk that one night. Deadpool, I felt that they just gave him too much exposition and we didn't really live, even though this is what I have a problem with because this is the third movie. So the first two, we saw him and his friends. We know how important they are to him. But for some strange reason, to me, there felt to be like it was an emotional detachment with this movie as compared to the other ones. So I guess we're just supposed to go on past emotions. But even that's kind of weird because Vanessa and him broke up, but we didn't even see that breakup on screen. So everything just feels really disjointed and one-sided. To me, it was like, yeah, I'm there, I support you, but there really wasn't any kind of chemistry between those two in this movie. So it was just, I don't like, did it feel like that to you?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I wasn't sure if who you were talking with. You were talking about Deadpool and the girlfriend or
Vanessa.
Girlfriend. Yeah, Vanessa. Yeah. I completely got that. I mean, honestly, I even got that since Deadpool 2. I don't think they have the best chemistry regardless. And I don't like that they did the breakup thing off camera. They kind of just hinted at it with like a 3-second flashback of them talking one time, but it happened so quickly. Like there's absolutely no emotional attachment, even to the main character when it comes to his motivations, because it's just like, where does this come from? Like, why is he doing this? He's doing this for her, but like we don't care about her. So like, why do we care about it, any of it at all? So it kind of just I mentioned this to Tony Polanco because he said he was gonna watch the movie on Twitter. He posted.
He said
it
he
up,
was going to watch the movie.
He said he was gonna watch the movie, and I told him one thing, and I said, hey, this movie does nothing story-wise or pushes anything for the MCU. Just be ready, just have an open mind to have fun with this. That's all this movie is. It's just mindless fun. Like none of it makes sense. None of it is emotional. None of it is, well, unless you're a nerd and like you appreciate the references and cameos and stuff. But like, this is, if it wasn't a funny movie and if it wasn't great having these two together, this probably would have been a bad movie.
Oh. They matched it very well because it was like very weird how like aside from storyline, I gave it a 10. But then if you're just judging storyline, it's like you get a 3.
Yeah.
At most. Yeah, but it's weird. Like it's okay to love it, but I understand if you don't. I won't be mad at you either way. Because both make sense. But yeah, so then so we have the whole situation where we're finally introduced to those secret cameos. So this is Johnny Storm ends up dying in the most painful way I've ever seen. Where Cassandra, it's weird because we think that Deadpool is lying, and I'm still kind of unsure whether or not he's lying about this. But he basically says that Johnny Storm, hates Cassandra, and he's telling all of these things to his face about how she sucks and she's terrible, and she basically skins him alive.
It's just like a little flick of a hand, and she just fillets him.
And you could see right there how powerful she is. And then on top of that, she ends up literally digging into the brains of Wolverine and Deadpool to find out everything that they know and who they are. And because she's not as powerful as Charles, she has to literally be in your head. She's in there. She's just like her. And that was a sight to see. So I kind of really like that part. But then we're later introduced to the other cameos because the whole thing is, how do they get out of the void? How do they escape? How do they find their freedom to get back to the regular whatever Earth that they came from? So this is when we get the biggest. This is the moment where this theater, at least when I saw it, lost its mind because we're finally introduced to. I don't have the picture. We're finally introduced to Elektra, Blade, Gambit, and X-23. Y'all knew about X-23. I didn't know about X-23. But when I saw Blade, I started screaming. And it was those screams that I wasn't aware that I was screaming, so it was all high-pitched. And then Gambit was when I lost my mind. Because Gambit is you would have told me Gambit, I'd have been like, okay, you're lying. You're just making up random characters so I don't get spoiled. But Gambit was there, and we had Blade. What were your thoughts on the huge cameos?
Yeah, so when I was in the theater, there wasn't a huge pop when Elektra came in, but I was like, oh, that's nice. It's cool. She's back. All right, good for her. And that was pretty much it. But then you see Wesley Snipes walk in with that slow motion, and I'm like, oh, he's back. And the theater goes crazy, and he has, I mean, he looks, he's much older, so he looks super skinny right now, but he still, he like his acting, like his character, it didn't miss a beat. Like that was still Blade, which was freaking awesome. When Gambit walked in, I didn't expect this, and you would think my initial reaction would be, oh my god, I finally get to see Gambit. But as soon as he walked in, the first thing I thought was, oh my god, that's so cringe. So I looked at him just like, you went completely comic accurate Gambit, and it looks weird. It looks so weird on him. And I appreciate it. I don't hate it at all. I appreciate it that they went comic accurate, like literally down to like it was a whole rubber suit. It was like he was cosplaying as Gambit. It was really weird. And he had the thick ass accent, which they made fun of in the movie because it was a thick Cajun accent, and Deadpool kept on telling him telling him to keep repeating himself because he didn't know what the hell he was saying. And that was part of the joke. So my reaction to Gambit afterwards was just like, oh, he's just a joke. Like they're not going to take him seriously in this role because we all know that this movie's never going to be made. So sorry, the actor, for Gambit, Channing Tatum, he's having fun with it. He's having so much fun with it, and I appreciate it. So I love that they put him in the movie. But that first initial impression was like, what the fuck? What is he wearing?
Yeah, no, my immediate reaction to him was like, oh my god, this is amazing, this is incredible. And he opened his mouth and I was like, I don't ever want a Gambit movie again.
Yeah.
Thank you, Fox. Thank you for, he didn't even get a movie. I was like, because we waited years. This was over 10 years. We like, when is that Gambit movie coming? And MCU, even though he played it completely over the top, kind of reminded us this is why we should never have a live action Gambit. Stick to X-Men 97.
Yeah.
But this is terrible. This was the worst thing.
That Gambit will make me cry.
Yeah, what did he say? He said he spoke in upside down, what was it, italicized eyes.
Huh?
Deadpool said that Gambit was speaking in upside down, italicized eyes. And he kept screaming, where is the dialect coach? Because it was so awful. Yeah. We didn't know where his dialect coach. The whole thing was just completely over the top, and it was played for laughs and it was played for humor, and I appreciate that part. But it was the worst thing I have. It was terrible, but intentionally terrible. Wesley Snipes as Blade, I loved it, but I thought one thing was missing. He didn't have the vampire teeth.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
I just wanted some vampire teeth. You had the cape. You slim down. You look real good, slim and trim. Like, I want you to be in somebody's movie. Maybe he'll be in not even Secret Wars, Thunderbolts. We still don't know what remember the asterisk? We don't know what the asterisk means. I just want him, and it doesn't even have to be him as Blade. Wesley Snipes is, I don't know, Sam Gooding, whatever. Just throw him in a role for the MCU to be a bodyguard, whatever. But I love that he came, and I did not expect this at all. And I thought it was really funny. It was a what would you call that? It was a shot at the MCU Blade that we're probably never getting, because he makes a thing. There's a joke in there that basically alludes to we're never getting the Blade MCU movie. Because we're over 5 years, unless I know Comic-Con San Diego is right now, and I know that today is Marvel Day. But unless they actually announce we've been working on this movie and just didn't tell you anything. And here's our first trailer.
They better pull
We're
a trailer.
not getting one.
Yeah.
You know, Mahershala Ali is not going to put his life on hold for another 5 years. He has things to do. He has bills that has to be paid. And there's no retainer fee, from my understanding. So just let him go. And if we have to revisit this 5 years later, cool. But I don't think we're getting this. At least not with Mahershala at all. So, yeah. But Elektra, I didn't really think anything of it, but I did appreciate that line that they had when it was like, you know, where's Deadpool? Not Deadpool, Daredevil.
Daredevil.
Oh, he died. So that was hilarious.
I feel like that was more of a jab at Ben Affleck himself.
Yeah, that was a jab at Ben Affleck.
Because of the breakup or their split up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I wasn't sure if we were on the same page with that.
No, that was a jab at Ben Affleck himself.
There was also a reference of Deadpool. Deadpool had mentioned something, and I can't remember this word for word, obviously, because I just saw the movie 2 days ago. But there was a reference to Ryan Reynolds in the Blade movie, because Ryan Reynolds played Hannibal in Blade 3, and when Deadpool and Blade were talking with each other, I think Blade has said something like, "I don't like you" or something like that, and then Deadpool, or Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool, he says, "Oh, I guess you don't like me in any universe, then, do you?" So I was just like, "Oh, okay," because Blade didn't like the character Hannibal in the movie. Also, Wesley Snipes and Ryan Reynolds did not get along on set, so that was kind of like a little thing there too.
This makes me think of Triple H.
How so? He was the vampire. I forgot about that.
He was like the last Blade. I think the bad one.
Yeah, I remember.
So that was done very well. No feeling for Elektra. With Daphne or X-23, you know, for me, I was excited about, because I didn't know at all. I was excited about, but I wasn't like, oh my God, she's in it. To me, I felt that this was the emotional tether that they needed, because Wolverine was going through his whole situationship with, you know, I killed the X-Men. And here's a weird thing. I appreciated it and I didn't like it all at the same time. I appreciate her being there and explaining to him, you know, because of you, I got to live. And so did so many other kids. We all got to live because of you. But at the same time, I really didn't want, because they emphasized so much that Logan is dead and they desecrated the man's body, adamantium, that to have that connection to even though they wasn't the same Logan, it felt like they was trying in a way to make them be the same Logan by having her there and explaining so many lived because of you. And I felt that it didn't make sense, because we don't know what happened to the humans who killed the X-Men. We didn't know. I'm sorry. We do know.
He said he killed them all.
He came back and he couldn't stop killing.
Yeah.
He went on a killing spree. And the thing is, like, it's just against humans. Okay. This is why I wish it was something more. Like, did he kill innocent people too? You know what I mean? Even if he killed like the innocent and just couldn't stop himself from killing, that would have gave a more reason as to why people hated him, as opposed to, oh, he killed all of the X-Men.
Yeah.
Because he got drunk. It wasn't like he actually even killed them. He got drunk at the bar. And again, I'm supposed to believe Charles Xavier died by the hands of regular people. The dude who's the most powerful X-Men in the world.
The freaking Xavier, the Fox version of Xavier, literally froze the entire White House, like put them at a standstill and started talking to all of them in their heads, and had a straight up whole conversation with them. So you're telling me, that same Professor Xavier couldn't handle a bunch of humans trying to like invade the X-Mansion or something? Him alone.
And you know that if anything happened to Charles, Magneto would be right there, waiting to rage war, because he'd have been like, I told you so. And you mean to tell me he didn't rage war against anything? Did die by the hands of humans? Basic humans? It just aggravates me. And
Well,
so, yeah.
Well, I was just gonna say also,
Yeah.
like that it fails to still kind of give an emotional moment with X-23 and that Logan, because they made it seem like that she had a big role to play, and the only moment that she really does get is that campfire moment with Logan. And even then, it's like you said, it's like they were trying to get that same emotional attachment for the original Logan and her, but it wasn't happening. And the only time you ever get anything that is even worthwhile, character development wise, for this Logan here, is when she says, "You were always the wrong Logan," and then she says, "Until you weren't." That's it. That's the only line that really matters, that motivates him at all. And I just don't feel like that was worth it.
No, like, I appreciate her being there. I really do. I just wanted something a little bit more. And so we got this huge fight sequence between Cassandra's peoples, which included, oh gosh, let me see if I can do this memory wise. It was the dude, it was not I'm getting the names crossed up. It's not Mephisto, clearly, but the purple dude.
That's Azrael.
Is it
Or Azrael or
It like
Azazel. Those one of those two. I can't remember.
What? So it was
That's
him.
Nightcrawler's dad.
I really wish. Right. I wish we had Kelly Hugh in here, who was the other X-23.
Yeah, I noticed she wasn't there, but there was still a Lady Deathstrike there.
Lady Deathstrike. I wish she was there, and she would have went up against the baby X-23.
Neither was the Juggernaut too. Juggernaut. It wasn't the right Juggernaut either.
Juggernaut was there.
No,
because remember they had
Fox Juggernaut was there, but it wasn't the same actor.
Well, it's been like 15 years, and not everybody can be available or is alive. I don't know what he's doing.
Oh, he's definitely alive.
Okay, well, he's alive. I don't know where he's at.
Yeah.
You said that nefariously. I don't know what he's doing.
I don't know. Maybe he wasn't available, or maybe they never contacted him in the first place. I have no idea. But he still acts. He still does stuff.
It wasn't Vinnie Jones. Was it Vinnie Jones?
Yeah.
Vinnie Jones. They could have got Vinnie Jones.
Yeah.
Boo. Anyway, they really should have got Vinnie Jones. Anyway, so we do end up with this amazing fight sequence, and this is when I started having a panic attack, because I'm so used to either what they was going to do with the Flash, or remember back in Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness, where they was going to just all die.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, we're going to bring you back just to kill you all. But we didn't get that, which makes me extremely happy. We got them there alive, which then ends up to the end joke as to they're going to be in the universe, but it's not our universe. But, remember he said at the end, Deadpool is like, I have some friends that's stuck in the void. Can you let them out? And then the TVA is like, yeah. So that I felt that the whole point of bringing those characters back was to say, hey, they're going to be in the MCU. Again, it's just not the version of which they are here today, which is, why we're getting, remember, Fantastic Four is getting a comeback.
Reboot, yeah.
Remember, X-Men is coming back. What are the other ones? Blade, I don't know. Question mark is coming back. Maybe just an actor, and they'll stick him in a movie. I prefer that as opposed to waiting another 10 years and you can't even write a script. Remember, the script was supposed to be all female based, and Blade was only supposed to be in there for like 20 minutes, and it was just like a 10-minute fight scene. Oh my God. Fire everyone. Anyway, so that was to say, here are these characters because we're going to tell you that they're coming back. Except for, I don't know, Elektra could be in the upcoming Deadpool movie. Not movie, sorry, TV series that's coming out in 25.
Deadpool TV series?
Charlie Cox. You don't know about the Deadpool TV series that's with Charlie Cox and they brought back Foggy Bottom?
You mean Daredevil? Daredevil.
What did I say?
You said Deadpool. Yeah, Daredevil, yes, is coming. I'm excited for Daredevil.
Which, by the way, I would love a Deadpool animated series, R-rated. That would be hilarious.
Oh yeah.
So the whole point is, we end up learning that Paradox is working within the void, talking directly to Pyro, being like, Cassandra wants out. She's basically explaining all the plans. And this is when he becomes very upset because his goal is to basically get rid of everything. And everybody is essentially scared of Cassandra. And the whole point is, so Deadpool and Wolverine finally escape to another part of the void. Well, we basically meet all of the Deadpoolers. We get Nice Pool, which I thought was really sweet. And through Nice Pool, we're introduced to Deadpool Dog. What is it called? Dead Dog? Pool Dog?
Dog Pool.
Dog Pool. So we're introduced to Dog Pool and we're introduced to Nice Pool, which I really kind of liked. And I think the whole reason why they brought back Nice Pool was just so he could say the proposal.
Jesus.
So what did you think of like that? It was cute. It was really funny. And they end up driving out and they end up going to meet, and they end up meeting the other pools in order to stop this army. What did you think of the pools and the dog?
I think it was kind of like that same moment. First of all, my initial reaction was I was excited, and I didn't think or expect them to be enemies of Deadpool in the movie. I was expecting the Deadpool Corps to show up and kind of save the day with Deadpool and Wolverine, but that wasn't the case. Apparently, Deadpool and Wolverine fought them both, the entire Corps and stuff. So when they showed them, I was like excited and then kind of quickly disappointed because I started to get flashbacks of the X-Force and how quickly they were short-lived and kind of just killed off and kind of just, it was just whatever it was. So yeah, Deadpool Corps shows up, and I think the only thing that made the movie when it comes to the extra Deadpools was Dogpool. He I think it's a he was adorable. I love the dog. I want one of those dogs so bad. It's so cute. But
I
I know it's legit the ugliest dog in the world. It's won competitions for the ugliest dog in the world, and I think if it just fits so perfect, it was great. But aside from that, the only saving grace to the whole battle with the whole Deadpool Corps was Wolverine. I and my wife can tell you this too. I was holding her hand when they were like on the sidewalk and they were talking and whatnot, and Hugh Jackman reaches for his back and he puts on that mask. I gripped my wife's hand so hard and I started tearing up. And she was like, "What are you doing?" And I was just like, "It's him. He's got his mask on." And it's just, it was the best. It was the best moment. That was the best moment of the whole movie. Just that whole fight with him in the mask, killing off all those Deadpools, including Lady Deadpool, which I know is not revealed in the movie itself. But if you look in the credits, it was Blake Lively, even though it was denied that it was Blake Lively. I made sure I looked at the credits. I was like, I need to find out who that is, because people were saying it was Blake Lively. It was Ryan Reynolds just in a woman's body. They said it was that singer. What was her name?
Gaga?
No, not Lady Gaga.
Taylor Swift?
Huh? Taylor Swift. Yeah, people were saying it was Taylor Swift. So like there was all these theories and stuff, but like yeah, it was Blake Lively, but it was never revealed, sadly. But it was the best moment. And then when they both come jumping out of the back of that bus, it was like literally something straight out of the comic books. It was beautiful.
That was the moment where I saw grown men cry. I thought I would see it during the Blade introduction. This is when they were crying. And they were like, "You don't know how long we never seen this in the movie. This is messy." So I was happy for them. I liked the costume, but here's the thing. I always thought it looked a little silly. It just, to me, it was always been silly.
You mean with the mask on?
The mask. The mask itself has always been silly to me. But I loved it. And I am happy for you. And everyone who wanted a comic book accurate costume.
Actually,
It was wonderful. Mm-hmm.
That's one of those things I should bring up because we've been bashing this movie the whole time when it comes to not having any emotional attachment. There is one piece of story that I really, really do appreciate, and that's a reason for why he wears a suit in the first place. I think it was very well done. I think it was a very good reason because when we first watched X-Men, as kids or teenagers, whatever, in the first X-Men movie, we thought, yeah, we wanted a grounded superhero thing. So it would be stupid for you to wear a yellow and blue suit. It would not look realistic. It'd be dumb. It'd be dorky or whatever it may be. But now that we've grown up and we kind of have these expectations of just like, it needs to be out there. It needs to be outrageous and whatever. Wolverine has that connection with that suit because he thought it was stupid. But the rest of the X-Men was like, you need to wear this. It's important. We want you to wear this, yada, yada. And now he has that attachment with it now that the X-Men are gone, and he wears it for them in honor of them. So I thought that was a really, really well done reason as to why he wears a stupid suit.
I greatly appreciate that. That was a very nice touch to honor them, even though they died stupidly. It was a really great way that I thought it had that connection. And in a way, it allows him to grieve.
Yeah.
So I loved how they played that up as well. And, as they stated before, he was originally supposed to have that suit in the first X-Men movie. Remember where Kevin Feige was like an intern producer, basically, working on X-Men. But they said they changed it because the Matrix was really in, and they wanted everyone to look Matrixy. So we got the all black. So. But where no one died yet, we know that we finally got a comic accurate suit. So that's all thing that does matter. Finally came 200 years later, but we finally got that. Another thing I really wanted to mention that I think they did an exceptional job with, the fight scenes were incredible, but that car scene was phenomenal.
Oh yeah,
that tight, close space of being trapped in a car. In a way, it reminded me of Civil War, that elevator scene. Because they're in a trapped space. There's not much movement that you can do. And what they did with that car fight was phenomenal. It was like 50 gallons of bucket of blood, but it all worked, I felt. And it was just that moment where like you just want to kill it. That was it. They got to the point where they just were so aggravated by each other that all you could do is just fight. And you couldn't die. So you knew that you can do anything. And it would still have to continue. And they fought for like a day and a half in that car. Because remember, they started with the sun. The sun went down. The sun came back up. Then it started getting a little afternoonish. So it was like a day and a half of just pure fighting. That was brilliantly done.
Yeah.
What did you feel about that scene?
Oh, I agree. I think that was again another emotional thing because they both started like trying to talk to each other, trying to work things out, and then Logan finds out Deadpool may have been lying, but it was just what would he call it, an educated wish. So yeah. He gets mad at him because Logan just wants to go home, and then Deadpool wants to just be the savior of the universe and whatnot, and they go at each other's throats for the day and a half and it was like it was like they're taking out their aggression on each other, and they knew that they didn't have to pull their punches because they can just heal and just completely wreck the car. So it was funny, and it was still done emotionally well.
Right. And, that's one of the things I forgot to mention was the fact that the only reason why Wolverine agreed to this was the fact that he thinks that they would be able to bring his timeline back.
Yeah.
Not his timeline, to bring the heroes back, the X-Men back. And he was like, he lied the whole time in order to get him to come with him. And that's when the car, he, stated that it was, an educated wish. And that's when he really tore into him. Deservingly so, because it's like, that's a big thing to lie about. Everyone you killed, or you didn't kill, but everyone who's dead because of you, now they can come back. That's painful. That's mean. So then kind of to correctly wrap this up, the situation was Cassandra's goal, which again, I thought it was not very done. It wasn't done very well, was to get the Time Ripper. Time Ripper is what Paradox was secretly working on. And the rest of the TVA doesn't know about it. It's a secret project that he was working on to basically speed up the process of destroying timelines. Which, okay, I guess. I thought we could have maybe had a quantum realm sequence in there instead of a time ripper, but whatever. Tie it better to Loki, but okay. The time ripper. And so Cassandra discovers that it's time ripper, and her goal is to basically use the power of the time ripper to destroy all the timelines so that only the void would exist. And the only way to stop her is essentially manually by going in there and pulling. It gets really scientific with you, some neutrons and some atoms, and it's supposed to destroy it, but in the process you die too. And they had this really great, it felt like Armageddon moment. Remember in Armageddon between Bruce Willis and Ben Affleck, they was trying to decide who would stay on the asteroid, and they would have that big fight, and they were trying to fight each other in order, you have kids. No, you're a father. I already lived my life, son. Please, be married to my wife. Not my wife, my daughter. Because Liv Tyler was stuck in there. So it reminded me of like the Armageddon sequence. And I thought it was really sweet because Wolverine was okay with dying because he essentially had nothing left to live. And Deadpool was okay with dying because he wanted his friends and his family to live. So I thought that was a really nice touch. But in the end, they ended up doing it together, which I think the power of two is better than one. So what did you think of that sequence and then the whole stealing of the time ripper by Cassandra?
It's the time ripper thing's a stupid MacGuffin that was really pointless to anybody to use. I don't know that again, just lazy writing. The moment where I felt like one of them were going to sacrifice themselves, and then I was leaning more towards that Wolverine was going to sacrifice himself because one, this is Deadpool's movie, and then two, we know eventually we have to let go of Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. So that was my moment of just like, oh my God, I'm getting emotional again because I have to say bye to him again. Like after watching that Logan movie, and now we're watching Deadpool and Wolverine, and we have to say goodbye to him again. So I was expecting him to die. And he was gonna go forward with it, and then Deadpool kind of plays the switcheroo thing. Deadpool goes in, and he's about to sacrifice himself for whatever reason. Wolverine still shows up, and then so it's like these two pillars. So they're kind of like one of them's holding on to one while the other one's holding on to the other, and then they kind of hold hands. Hilarious moment where Wolverine is just like, and his shirt completely rips off. And this dude is, how old is he? Like 60 years old, I think now. And that dude is still so freaking ripped. And my wife doesn't think Hugh Jackman is really that attractive, but she told me after the movie, she's like, yeah. She was just like, yeah. And I was like, well, if I was gay, sure, I would probably do the exact same thing. I am jealous of that man. I can't believe you can still look like that, but it was a funny moment. It all rips up, and the Deadpool kind of like leans over, and he just kind of looks at his abs, and he's just like, and then it gets more emotional, and they're both about to die, and then again, it's a bit of a cop-out thing, lazy writing. Again, this is like the 20th time I've said it. They both survive. They both survived because the power of friendship allowed the both of them to survive because it was two instead of one, like sacrificing themselves. Like their power together just magnified things. Or like it was dumb. Like I was ready for Wolverine to just go. I like as much as I love Hugh Jackman, and I don't think anyone can play Wolverine as Hugh Jackman does, but I know 10 years, 20 years down the line, we're going to need another Wolverine, regardless of what you think of Hugh Jackman. So I was ready to let him go and kind of move on. And this was another good opportunity for that to happen, and it didn't. So they missed out on that. And again, lazy writing. They both survived.
I was okay with him living because here's the thing: he's living in that world. So I was just okay because it was done in a way where it's like he can go and be at peace, but we don't ever have to see him again because he's in that different world, as opposed to where the X-Men are. So I was okay with that, but storyline wise, emotional wise, I would have preferred if he died. Then he would have died again. He was sacrificed again because that's what the other Logan did.
Mm-hmm.
And it would have been a full circle of sacrifice. And then he already had that conversation with X-23 that was like, look, because of you, so many other people lived. And even though you killed the X-Men, so many other people still live. The entire timeline gets to live because of you. So I would have kind of preferred if he died that way. But he didn't die at all. Instead, he just kind of eventually found his shirt and walked away.
Yeah.
So it was cute. It was nice. It was cute.
They had some shawarma in the end.
They had shawarma. I forgot about the shawarma. Because Deadpool invented the shawarma scene and not the Avengers.
Not the Avengers.
So I do appreciate that. That was very funny. That was a nice playback on Avengers. Because he always wanted to be Avengers, but I guess he's an Avenger of his heart.
Mm.
So, but yeah, that was interesting. And then, Cassandra just kind of obliterated. She was gone. She was killed by all of the atoms and the neutrons. And I just felt it was really sad because she never really got to, we never got to see Cassandra in her glory. And I thought Cassandra could have been a much stronger character. I thought better developed. But, MCU has a tendency to have villain problems. I think there's only a handful of villains that were actually villainy.
I don't even
You
think
had, obviously, Thanos. Huh?
I don't even think there's a handful.
You think she's going to come back?
No, I'm saying that I don't even think there's a handful of villains that are worthwhile in the MCU. I think literally the only one that was ever worthwhile was Thanos, and that's because they gave him
and
2 movies for character development. I think they could have done more with Killmonger still. Like Killmonger, and I love Killmonger because freaking Michael B. Jordan is talented as crazy. He's talented as hell. So he did the character well, but I kind of just feel like they could have been more than what they did with him. Actually, they did. Well, I should say that because they did develop him a little bit more in the What If series as well.
True, but yeah, I didn't feel like there was a threat with Cassandra.
Mm-hmm.
She was stuck in that void, and even when she came back out of the void, it didn't feel threatening at all. Her wanting the or whatever you call it, stripper thing, it just didn't feel like I was connected with it. The Time Ripper.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
so
it really didn't
feel like I said, I said time stripper thing. I was like, oh, they can strip away the time. But I just didn't really feel, that kind of weight of, even the destroying of the worlds. Maybe if we got a world or two that was destroyed, and then we could have, visually seen. I think for me, because we got that in Loki. We got what happens to the timeline being destroyed in Loki. And I think they did such a great job of upping the stakes. And then the whole time I was like, okay, cool. Wasn't Loki the tree that held everything together? So then are you saying Loki doesn't matter? Because remember at the end of Loki, he held all of the branches. He's literally holding the branches. He is essentially the tree of life, or however they put it in the comic book lore. But he's holding all the branches together. So is it like does what Loki did not count anymore? It was kind of weird, unless Loki just can't do anything. He just holds the branches together and makes sure nothing gets crossed.
I feel like that's what that is. I mean, we can only guess, but I feel like that's what it is that he's only keeping them as stable as possible. But I'm sure it's comic books. There's a lot of outside variables that can affect timelines and realities and stuff like that. So I'm sure this is one of those instances of just like Loki can't really intervene because it's well past his power, I guess, or whatever it may be. Which would have been cool though, because if you notice when Cassandra Nova was using the machine and things started to tear apart, it was the same visual effects that were used in Loki when time started to collapse and he was trying to find a way, to stop it all. So I thought that was a really cool little, I guess, an Easter egg or something. And they could have used a connection with that as well, but I guess that's another missed opportunity.
Yeah. And I just wanted also something more from Paradox. And I thought he did a very good job.
Like what?
But I just kind of wanted something more.
Hmm.
Maybe just the reasoning behind. Like if he was working for another person or another, I don't know, Galactus or whatever you. Even though he's kind of connected to Fantastic Four, I know they're doing a presentation today. They did one yesterday with the drones at Comic-Con. But even though he's more connected with that, it felt better if he was working for somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we had with the whole Avengers, and we ended up discovering that the I forgot names because I'm old. The other dude was actually working for Thanos, and he was like, fine, I'll do it myself. I just kind of wish that Paradox was working for someone as opposed to doing it just by himself, because his reasoning again didn't make any sense. Like you went to TVA back the old way, but why? How is this a threat to you? I didn't feel like there was a threat to him, and that would explain why he would want the Time Ripper to expedite this quicker, because hundreds of thousands of years.
That brings up another thing about now that you're mentioning that stuff, it just reminds me that for quite a while, all the MCU movies have, they all have end credit scenes. None of them have been significant for quite a while now. For this entire phase, none of them have been significant to really connect to anything important. They've just been like an Easter egg thing or some sort of funny moment or pretty much whatever it is. And the same thing goes for this end credit scene. So you mentioning that just reminds me of another missed opportunity they could have had and connected, like, who's the big bad who's behind the whole thing with the TVA. They could have introduced Galactus. They could have introduced another Kang variant. Maybe the other Kang variant was taking over the TVA or something. And this could have been the opportunity to obviously they already filmed the movie before they casted the new Kang, because I'm already hearing that they casted a new Kang. But that could have been an opportunity of like showing off the new Kang or teasing the new Kang, the new variant that's obviously going to look different because we're going to get a new actor for him. Or introduce any number of villains or any number of franchises, but instead you just wanted to throw in a little extra joke of what happened with Johnny Storm rather than actually try to connect anything. And Kevin Feige, just before the movie came out, he was all over Twitter saying that this ends the multiverse saga of the MCU, and it's going to introduce the mutant saga of the MCU, which is cool. So now we're starting a new saga or new phase or whatever it is you want to call it, but it doesn't really feel that way at all.
Here's where I feel script-wise they had a difficult time being. One, remember, there was a writer's strike in the middle of this, and the actor's strike. The reason why we still got the writing done was the acting done was because Ryan Reynolds paid out of his pocket to make sure everyone was paid. Here is the thing that I think maybe I'm just giving too much of an excuse with this. I felt that this movie, or what they tried to do with the script, just was to serve two masters at once. That was the MCU, bringing him into the MCU. Introducing Deadpool and Wolverine into the MCU and mixing everybody together, while also saying goodbye to Fox. Because to me, this was a goodbye. Thank you for your service, Fox, which is why I say thanks for the memories, Fox. Because to me, that's exactly what this felt like. We got Johnny Storm. We got Blade. We got Elektra. We got X-23. We got, even remember at the end, with the end credits,
the montage was emotional.
That montage was emotional. That was more emotional than the movie. Now that should have been
yeah.
They could have put in that's the reason why we have to destroy this timeline. We no longer have Fox anymore. And to see like all these actors when they were so young, and a baby Hugh Jackman, and like Kevin Feige on the set, that was cute. Anyway, but I felt that because they were trying to serve so many masters at the same time, we lost kind of the reasoning and the heart of what could have been the movie, because you're trying to say goodbye to Fox Studios, but you're trying to also say hello, here we've arrived in the MCU, while also not focusing on the character and the story. So that's why I felt it relied so much on cameos, which in a weird way, I was happy that we got those cameos, but I just felt like it was just there to say, hey, remember us? It was literally a hey, remember us moment. You know, remember Jenny Storm? Remember that Blade movie we never got? Hi, I'm extra forgettable. I'm Elektra. Toad? Who thinks of Toad? But that's kind of what I felt was the problem, was that they were stretched too thin. They were trying to be like, this is a Fox movie, this is an MCU movie, and they just really didn't focus on the characters and why they should be in the movie to begin with. And the fact that you said that this is to end the saga, I understand that, and I get that. And I was okay. It's weird, though, because in a way, I felt that it could have had a bigger ending, but I'm okay with it. My thing is like, this is the N1 saga, but we was never really, it's hard to explain because the fact that, are you trying to include that Fox is, I don't know how to explain it without sounding ridiculous, but you're trying to merge Fox in with Marvel Studios, but also at the same time, you're saying goodbye to Fox. So I'm not sure if you're a merger or you're just distancing yourself now.
I mean, I never got the feeling that they're merging with anything aside from Deadpool, because I feel like they're getting rid of pretty much everything. I mean, like you said, this was a goodbye, a good send off for a respectful send off for Fox and the Fox characters, and I think that's where they just want to leave it at. I think they wanted to keep Deadpool because Deadpool has been successful, and Ryan Reynolds is relentless with making sure he's taking over this character forever and ever and ever. And he's done well for the industry too, for the superhero industry, I should say, because he loves his character. He got us back Hugh Jackman. Like you said, he freaking paid for a lot of this movie to try to get it done out of his own pocket. So why wouldn't you want to keep him? But the rest of them, you know, we could debate all day about whether the Fox X-Men movies are good, the remakes, the first class X-Men's were good. What else is there? Daredevil and Blade and I mean Blade was great, but a third one was awful. But again, like Fox is over with and done with, and I think they are trying to distance themselves from all of it, but kind of just keep Deadpool. That's the money maker.
Right, that's true. That's true. I appreciate that. I had something I wanted to say, but then I forgot. But yes, I do appreciate that, and that's it. Oh, it was a joke. Ryan Reynolds pulled off what The Rock wanted to do with DC.
Oh yeah,
because he has no talent.
Hell yeah!
But yeah, and it wasn't a coup. They actually wanted to work with him. He did too. To work with people. I'm trying
Except
to
for T.J. Miller.
Ooh.
For those who don't know, T.J. Miller has been bashing freaking Ryan Reynolds all over social media and stuff and podcasts and whatnot. I think he's just bitter that he wasn't invited for the third movie because they didn't get along on set, apparently. T.J. Miller says that Ryan Reynolds was an asshole to him throughout both the first and second movies, which I can believe, but I kind of can't believe. And T.J. Miller has done a lot of controversial stuff, so I can understand why he wouldn't want him in a movie to begin with. So I think I feel like it's more just of him being bitter.
And honestly, I don't even remember him. He was lovely in the Deadpool movie that he was in.
Yeah.
Him. Yes. So, and I like the fact that they kept the one guy from X-Force who lived.
Oh yeah. Well, two of them. Shatterstar was there too.
Yeah, and they still worked in the car salesman.
Mm-hmm.
So I appreciate that. He still had the suit, which I appreciate. I loved Blind Al. The whole thing with Blind Al was just getting coke. To me, that was hilarious. Yeah. She just wanted some coke, and it was so many different names. It was just a running gag of coke. But I like the fact that she was there. It was nice seeing her. It was nice seeing, what was it? Was it Cyclops? No, not Cyclops. The dude that turns to steel. Colossus. It was nice seeing Colossus there. I didn't expect him at all. Mega Sonic Superhead teenager.
Mega
Kamiko,
Sonic Teenage Warhead.
same difference. Kamiko, it was nice seeing Kamiko. She's always great. Jupinder, I wish we had more of him. He's just amazing.
It was funny.
If there could have been a variant of Dupinder driving the car when they got it from Nice Pool.
Oh, that would have been funny.
That would have been hilarious.
Yeah.
I would have
But then it
loved
would have had to
to
been a taxi, wouldn't it? It'd be a taxi.
It's the Void, which
Yeah.
is a random taxi in the Void. So it would have been funny to see that. But I'm happy that they brought them back. I wish we could have gotten more. I wish we could have had more of a grounding thing from him, something more emotional. I felt like he was just reading off the page. It's like, and be emotional. Oh, my world. Oh, Vanessa. I just didn't really feel that connection. This to me felt like a Wolverine movie featuring Deadpool.
Oh yeah.
Which I'm okay with because, they introduced him into the MCU, which we'll see. So that's kind of everything that I really wanted to mention, aside from yay to NSYNC, and that choreography was amazing. And yay to blood, because it was a lot of blood. It was a lot of cursing. There were a lot of sexual jokes.
Yeah.
A lot of sexual imagery that I did not think that they would be. I thought it was going to be like one or the other, or maybe 2 out of 3. We got all of Deadpool. We got the sexual jokes, the sexual images. We got the drug mentions. We got tons and tons of violence. We got so many. It was a movie within a movie. It was a meta. It was a meta movie, which is amazing. So it's very Deadpool accurate in that. And so, yeah, I thought it was just good. I thought it was good. I think that it is okay if you completely love this movie because I can understand why. It's great for nostalgia. It was really fun. It was very funny. It was very entertaining. I remember because I saw the first 40 minutes first because we had to do interviews. And my immediate reaction was, I want the Blu-ray version of this because there are so many Easter eggs and just one scene alone. There are so many Easter eggs. And I need this movie to just be able to watch over and over and over again. And I still want that. Because they loaded this up with a lot of imagery, a lot of Easter eggs, and it is funny. It is incredibly funny. I will watch this again. This is not like, oh my God, this is trash. This was a really good movie. So what about you? You have any final thoughts?
Yeah, hilarious movie. It was fun. It was the type of mindless fun that I appreciate. Not like like it was just like a bad movie overall because it was mindless. It's kind of like that effect when you watch Fast and Furious movies. Like you don't go and watch a Fast and Furious movie for the story, for the deep story. You just go there for the mindless action. And here was like the mindless action and the comedy and all that. So that I think this movie was amazing for fans. If you appreciate good story and good emotional connections with characters, don't bother with this movie. But that's pretty much my only gripe with this whole thing. So it's not a perfect movie, but it's still something that I'll definitely watch like a million times over. I think Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman has shown that they work so beautifully together. I would love to see like a buddy cop movie with them.
I would love that. And also, maybe in the future, because I do think this is not the end of Deadpool. In the future, I would love for them to answer the biggest question the entire movie raised. And that was, why was Thor crying?
I instantly said that to my wife after that scene happened. I turned to her and I said, they better make that reference in another movie. Like Avengers Secret Wars or Kang Dynasty or whatever the next Avengers is, they better have a scene where Thor is talking to Deadpool like that.
Maybe this will just be that running joke like they did with the Eternals and the statue, the Titan coming out of the ocean. Well, we just never know. Why don't
just people anticipating it? It'll never happen.
And that Thor looked it looked like Chris Hemsworth, but at the same time, it didn't.
Yes. So I just read about this yesterday. Actually, Chris Hemsworth did not film that scene. They used his likeness. They use AI or CGI, and they used his likeness, so he was aware of it, but did not even get paid for it. So that whole scene there, the reason why it looks weird is because it's Chris Hemsworth CGI. They used
That's gross.
they had used a clip from a previous movie of his, and they just kind of meshed it together and played around with it. So that's why it looks weird.
That's kind of gross.
Mm-hmm.
That's disrespectful. Boo.
Yeah.
Boo Marvel. All right, so then that is kind of all that I have to say about this. It has been an extremely fun movie. Obviously, it has some issues, but it's okay. Life has issues. So, thank you again for watching us. Have a great day, evening, afternoon. As you know, I can't stop the recording because then we would have to switch rooms. So,
Switch your rooms? Why?
because we can't stop the recording because we would have to switch rooms in order to do the writing shit. Because remember, you said, "Oh, stay in the same room."
No. I was saying stay in this. You could stop recording. I'm recording on my software, but I'm just using the web page as
Oh,
my
okay.
template.
So then I'll press N. Yay!